Welcome back, everybody. I've been working outside here a little bit. I got the rest of the lugs taken off this left-hand wheel yesterday in between the rain showers. It was raining all morning. It finally stopped and it dried up enough, but there's more rain clouds, so I don't know, we might get rained out again, but I figure I'm going to come out and try to get the rest of the lugs off of the right side here. I got a good start on it yesterday. So that's kind of the goal. Let's see if we can get the rest of these off. Got the big boy wrenches out, cheater pipe, dead blow hammers. See if we can win. When I said cheater pipe, I wasn't joking either. These bolts are tight. I mean, really, if you're not using a 3-foot cheater pipe on the end of your 12-inch adjustable wrench, are you even really trying? Come on, you're making progress. Made a discovery here. So this cleat that was here had these add-on backers behind the nut on the back of the rim there. And I discovered why. It's cracked at least halfway through. You can see that. So I suppose that was their patch to try to kind of hold things together a little bit. They actually had one on both bolts, even though it didn't go all the way through. So there's that issue. I noticed yesterday both rivets on this spoke are sheared off. That's loose. And if you look at all the other ones, they're not tight like they should be, like all the other wheels are. So I don't know if it was a bad day at the factory when they were making this wheel or what. It's definitely got some issues. I mean, they're all pretty much all loose like that. So if we end up using this wheel, I think we're going to have some re-riveting in our future. I suppose we'll have to take a look to see if the Michigan parts tractor wheels are in good enough shape to use instead of this one potentially. Might save us a little bit of work. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, it could be fixed. We can have that welded up, and of course it can all be re-riveted, but that's a big project in itself, so something to think about. I got, what, 3 more lugs here, and then we can go on to something else. Beautiful day out here. Listen to the birds chirp, and got a little wren building a house up in the birdhouse in the tree there. He's been making lots of noise, or she. Standing back, I noticed there's some dents in the wheel too. This wheel has seen a hard life. There was another one down there too. It's been used and abused. But we got all the lugs off, so that's a good accomplishment for the day. Happy about that. Most of the bolts are not going to be reusable. A few of them broke. Most of the nuts will be, I think, reusable though, once we clean them up. A few broken off ones here, but all the good ones I put back in the lugs. So yeah, that's one more thing checked off the list. This was a spacer used behind one of the bolts. MH, I'm assuming that's Massey Harris. A237 cast on the top there. Anybody recognize what this is? I got no idea. Let me know. Well, that's not a good sign. Your siren's going out there. Anyway, so what I've been doing, I got this top transmission cover, started to clean that up. Still a lot to do yet, but I've gotten started on that process. I got the rest of it started to get cleaned up. We'll have to make a new felt seal for the ball here. That's what kind of seals it up from the transmission in the cover here. And then there is a shift boot, like a canvas or a cloth shift cover boot that will have to get made up. I think there's like a wire that goes in this groove to hold it in place, and then I'm guessing like another little wire to seal it to the shaft here. So that's another future project we'll have to do. So yeah, got that started, and then I've been being a little frustrated with transmissions. Looks like got a lot of progress here, but it really is not. I just kind of threw all the stuff in there temporarily just to start checking things as far as fits and wear and if all these gears are going to be usable, that type of thing. Specifically, that reverse idler gear. You walk around and show you from the side here. So if I put the camera down inside here, maybe you can see a little bit better that I took and dressed up all these chipped edges. You know, it was pretty chewed up. So I ground them down just to clean them up, and pretty much come to the realization that that gear probably just isn't going to work. There's just so much missing that it's kind of beyond using, I think, at this point. Excuse me. So let me try to explain how this works. So the gear, that would be about neutral right there, where these forks are. So this idler gear is always engaged with this gear, no matter if you're in neutral or in gear or whatever. It's always idling. And unfortunately, it's only contacting about that much of the gear at any, at that point, which is right where all that wear was. So that's kind of the big issue there. People have suggested, well, maybe you can turn this gear around on the brass collar and use this good edge. Well, yes, you could turn it around, but the problem is, even if I did that, so this is neutral, right? When I put the transmission into what would be reverse, that brings this over to something like that, I think, about there. Move this just out of your way so you can see a little bit better. That really wouldn't be that far, but just so you can see. So this would be reverse, where this is over here, and then your sliding gear would be engaging all about to that point. Well, I gotta show you what I'm doing. To that point on this reverse idler gear. So if we had flipped this around, all these chewed up edges would now be over here, and you would only have a very small portion by the time you have the worn edges on this gear, the worn edges would be on this side gear. You'd only have a very small, good contact surface, to run on that gear. So I think if you're going to go through the effort of doing anything, it's probably worth either getting this gear welded up and remachined or get a new gear made, I think is probably where we're at. Short of, there's a small chance there might be usable parts in the Michigan parts tractor, but that is, of course, back home in Wisconsin. I have no idea when I'm going to have a chance to get back home to get that tractor torn down to even find out if the gears are any good. I'm not holding my breath anyway. I'm kind of assuming that those are probably not going to be any good, just kind of based on a quick peek. The transmission cover was rotten right through. If you remember, the whole transmission is rusty, not even any lube in it. So I don't know. It's a pretty slim chance that that reverse gear would be any good in there. Possible, but not likely, I guess. So, like I said, I'm a little frustrated with that. Whatever, it is what it is. Even if we got to get a new gear made or get that one fixed, okay, whatever. And then you have other issues like, put these back, these gears. You know, these edges on these ones aren't super terrible. See if I can get you in there to show you a little bit closer. I think those would probably dress up okay because you have a bigger, I don't have my sliding gear here, that's back home too, but you have a bigger surface area of running contact, so those are probably going to be usable. But the only problem with them is that all three of those gears are on that splined shaft, right? Those don't need to slide, that's just how they're fixed to that shaft. There is a lot of play. That's just gear to spline play on that shaft. And they're all three like that. And I don't particularly like that either, but there's not really anything I can do about that, to my knowledge, short of making all new gears and all new shaft, and that's probably out of the question. That's pretty extensive. You'd be basically building a whole new transmission at that point. So yeah, I'll have to think about that one. And there again, if anybody has any brilliant solutions that I don't know about, but I'm kind of thinking that that might just be a put it together and just, it is what it is. It is a 96-year-old tractor. This one, you know, I've always said I plan to be able to bring these out into the field and use them whatever if I want to. Well, this might just be one of those tractors where you just gotta kind of know that, yeah, okay, you can't use this one super hard because the transmission is, yeah, a little less than ideal. I mean, it's not like it's gonna grenade on you anytime soon. It's not like we've got broken teeth and stuff like that, but it's just and even just the gear backlash and stuff. There's a lot of play and everything in here. The gears and stuff, they're not really that worn though, so I don't even know, like, you know, maybe this stuff was pretty loosey-goosey as far as backlashes even when it was brand new. I don't know. These Hyatt roller bearings on either side of that main shaft, they're not terrible, but there is a little bit of play there. I suppose I should rig up the dial indicator and see exactly how much play there is there. There's enough where I can, like I said, kind of click it around. I'm not terribly concerned about that, I guess, but it is something to be mindful of. Probably could have new bearings and races and whatnot for all these, but I'm not sure how much better that would even make things. Like I said, I'll have to rig up the dial indicator one of these days and see if I can get an accurate reading how much play there really is. So that's kind of where I'm at with these. Oh, I did take off the cover of the tractor out in the yard and kind of was peeking in there again. I pulled the drain plug, drained about a gallon of water out of the bottom, and then been letting whatever fluid is left in that one drip dry out of there. There wasn't a ton in there, maybe a couple of gallons worth left. The reverse idler gear in that transmission is definitely worn again, but it might be usable. It's definitely better than this one was. But the sliding gear that engages in here and here on that transmission is pretty chewed up. So here's some of the wear. Like I said, those edges are pretty chewed up. Okay, just a little clarification. I was watching back what I said earlier when I was talking about the idler gear. It's always engaged in this gear, but it's not actually turning unless this gear is turning, obviously. So that's only happening when the tractor is in either gear and moving. Then the idler wheel is spinning. If you're just in neutral, even with the clutch engaged, so your belt pulley is turning, but the tractor is not moving. If the tractor isn't moving, that isn't moving. That's probably the best way to say it. Just wanted to kind of clarify that. I was watching back my previous clip there, and I don't think I explained that quite well enough. I was also out in the yard looking at the transmission and the tractor out there, comparing, and the gears are loose on that tractor the same way that they're loose on the shaft here. So I don't know, maybe they're all like that. I got to do some more asking around and see what's kind of normal there. Maybe that's the way they all are and I'm overthinking it. It just seems awful loosey-goosey to be running it that way, but maybe I don't have to worry about that so much. I'll let you know when I find out more about that. I was looking at, remember we put that tar paper gasket in between to take up the play on this gear in the differential. Well, the differential in the tractor in the yard, you can see there's gaps where it's the same story, where that gear is, I'm assuming, once it's all cleaned up, going to be loose the same way this one was. It's actually bigger gaps on that one, just visually looking at it. So there again, well, maybe they're all built that way. It seems kind of strange. I can't think of any reason why they would do it that way on purpose. Just something else I'll have to ask around about as well. And unfortunately, in the one in the yard, I noticed that the bearing differential plate on this side is cracked about right here in a couple different places. Like, kind of looks like the bolt was probably over tightened or something and it broke. So hopefully at least one of these parts will be good from the Michigan tractor, and we'll be able to use that to make a good differential for the one in the yard. Just kind of mentioning these things as I discover them and know about it, because if I wait to get to that point, I might forget to tell you. So yeah, that's where we are now. I did order, I don't think I told you yet, I did order the bearings and races for the rear axle. Those are on their way. They were actually supposed to be here Friday, but they didn't show up, so I'm guessing they'll be here tomorrow, Monday. So we could probably put them together this coming week, and maybe you'll see that next episode. Get that portion of that done. We'll just keep picking away at it. I was a little bit frustrated there yesterday after discovering all this loose and worn stuff, but now that I've kind of walked away and thought about it for a while, yeah, it's really not as terrible as it first seems. The guy just tends to get a little, frustrated sometimes when things aren't going quite as smoothly as what you thought they were going to go. So, yeah, like I said, I'm going to continue cleaning up this so we can get this done. If nothing else, just so I can set it on top here, just to keep any dust and stuff from, accumulating in the transmission as we work on it. So, I want to thank you all for watching. If you haven't hit the old subscribe button, please do that. We'll see you guys hopefully next week. Thanks for watching.